To all of you, with due permission from the Dean Sir and the organizer, I am here with presenting a very sensitive topic. Not only from the legal point of view, not only from the medical point of view, but it is more important from the social point of view. So my today's topic of discussion is an overview on forensic examination of rape victim. I will like to discuss this topic in relation with medico-legal examination of survival of the sexual violence. Now there is one term, that is the rape. We as a people of medical or health profession should never use this terminology because it is a legal terminology. It has been defined by the law of our land. So what we should use? We should use forceful sexual intercourse in present of this term. Most of our doctors, they use this terminology ki rape झालेला आहे, evidence of rape present. No, because medical proof of sexual intercourse is not an legal proof of the rape. Rape is not crime against that particular woman, but it is a crime against the entire society. It causes it destroys the entire psychology of the female, and it also pushes that female into the deep emotional crisis. A rapist not only causes the physical and the mental injury to the female, but it hurts the dignity, the reputation and the honor of the female. Especially when the victims, they are the small children or the minor, it leaves behind them a deep traumatic experience and they become the sufferer of the rape trauma syndrome. Now, an unfortunate incident had been in our country in December 2012. The infamous Nirbhaya case, where there was an brutal killing and gang rape, resulting in an unrest in our country. There was a public outcry in our country, as a result of which 3-member judicial committee was constituted to amend the laws pertaining to the sexual violence. The committee is known as the Justice Verma Committee. The committee was headed by the retired Chief Justice of India, J.S. Verma. Again, a female member was there, Leela Seth, who was retired as a High Court judge, and Gopal Subramaniam sir, who was the Attorney General of the India. Now, this committee had laid the suggestion, recommended the suggestion to strengthen the law for violence against the female. And the most important suggestion of the committee was that when non-penetrative form of sexual intercourse was there, it should be regarded as a sexual assault. This was the most important recommendation of that committee. As a result of which there was amendment in our section 375 and 376 IPC. As 375 was amended, it included all forms of the sexual violence. Previously, what used to happen, if the crime of the rape was not proved, then that accused was punished with a lesser serious nature of the IPC, as per section 354 of the IPC, where there was the imprisonment maximum up to the 1 year, may extend to the 5 years. So this was very important amendment which the committee has suggested. So there are certain terminology which we should know. The sexual violence. Now WHO had defined the sexual violence. It means any sexual intercourse, attempted sexual intercourse, any unwanted sexual remarks, or anything which has been used by force, the coercion or the threat for the sexual act. These are the various types of sexual violence, sexual harassment. Now again, as per the Vishaka committee, sexual harassment at the workplace. Most of our senior members, they are the members of this Vishaka committee. And here, as per the section 354A, there is a punishment. If the female files a complaint with a police, there is an imprisonment up to the 3 years for the first 3 clause. And for the 4th clause, there is an imprisonment up to 1 year. So these are the various types of the sexual violence, sexual harassment, sexual abuse, sexual assault or rape. There is one more terminology, the sexual assault. Now this sexual assault is synonymously used with the terminology rape. It includes all the forms of the sexual violence. Anything, right from the touching of the body in a sexual intent without the consent of that particular person, to an forced sexual intercourse, to an attempted sexual intercourse, even the fondling of the person without that consent will amount to the sexual assault. So this amended definition has included all the sorts of the sexual violence which were previously absent in definition of 375 of Indian Penal Code. So this is sexual assault. Now, just I want to have the overview, because why this is important when we are taking the history from the survival and the history given by the survival to the investigating agency. If they are correlating with each other, it is an important corroborative evidence in the court of law. So proper history taking. So we should know what the law of our land has defined. Now this amended definition is that a man is sent to commit the rape if, ये सारे जो 4 क्लॉज है ये बाद में डाले गए हैं, ये अमेंडमेंट में डाले गए हैं, ठीक है, if he penetrates his penis to any extent into the vagina, anus, mouth or urethra of the woman or makes her to do so with him or with any other person. Mere touching of the vulva may amounts to the offense of rape. Previously जो हम लोग बच्चों को पढ़ाते हैं कि रेप के डेफिनेशन में जो है कि mere touching of the vulva person can perform the rape in that particular situation. Next is insert any object or any part of the body not being the penis into the vagina, anus or urethra of the woman or makes her to do so with him or with any other person. Third one is manipulates any parts of the body so as to cause penetration into the vagina, anus or urethra of a woman or makes her to do so, or apply his mouth to the vagina, anus or urethra or makes the woman to do so under any of the following circumstances. Now these circumstances are very, very important. Very first is against her will and without her consent. Against her will, she may be willing but she is not ready to give the consent. She is consenting but she is not ready to give her will. Consent depends on the will of that female. She is willing because to have some benefit from that particular person. She is not giving the consent. So this thing is very important. Previously what used to happen, if that female has the capacity to struggle, to resist in this condition, there may be the injuries present on the body of the female. The injuries may be of trivial in nature, but as a doctor we have to document each and every small form of injury. They are very important. Again, absence of the injury does not indicate that she has consented. She has communicated her willingness. Previously, in the court of law, we used to ask if there were no injuries on the body of the victim. It indicates that she has consented for it. No, that is not true. Because in the third clause, with her consent, when the consent has been obtained by putting the female or any person in whom she is interested in the fear of death or hurt, उसे आपने चाकू दिखाया, उसके बच्चे को आपने किडनैप किया, in this condition there may not be any sign of struggle on the body of that female. With her consent, when at the time of giving the consent, that man knows that he is not her husband, but the female believes that he is the same man or another man to whom she has been lawfully married. ये थोड़ा सा ट्रिकी है, क्योंकि कस्टम ऑलवेज प्रिवेल द लॉ. हमारे जो कानून कायदे जो बनाए जाते हैं वो हमारे परंपरा कैसी है उसको वायलेट हुआ कि उसके आधार पर बनाया जाता है. ये क्लॉज इसलिए आया है कि प्रीवियसली क्या होता था, चाइल्ड मैरिज होती थी. 12 साल की लड़की की शादी हो गई है, गंगा है, 14 साल का जो है गणेश है, दोनों की शादी हो गई है. एक दूर दराज राजस्थान के गांव में गणेश रह रहा है, दिल्ली में काम करने चले गया. 10 साल के बाद में वो वापिस आ गया. लेकिन वहां जाने के बाद में उसका एक दूसरे गांव, बाजू में एक गांव का उसका दोस्त है, उसको वो सारी चीजें बताता है कि मेरी इस लड़की के साथ में शादी हुई है, वो यहाँ रह रहा है. ये रमेश दूसरा नाम का दोस्त जो है ये इसके गांव में जाता है और उस लेडी को बताता है, उस बच्चे को बताता है कि आई एम योर हस्बैंड टू हुम यू हैड मैरिड एंड ही कोहैबिटेड विथ हर. वो लेडी को ये फीलिंग है कि ये वही आदमी है या ये हो सकता है ये मेरा हस्बैंड है, लेकिन उसे पता है कि वो उसका हस्बैंड नहीं है. शी इज गिविंग द कंसेंट बिकॉज ऑफ दिस इनपर्सोनेशन. Then the next clause is with her consent at the time of giving the consent by reason of unsoundness of mind or intoxicated or been stupefied or been administered any of the stupefying agent or any unwholesome substance so that she do not understand that she is giving the consent. Again, this is very important. As per section 90 of the Indian Penal Code, it itself suggests that any consent given by a person of an unsound mind or intoxicated person, the consent itself becomes the invalid. Then with or without her consent, if her age is below 18 years, previously it was 16 years, in the Criminal Law Amendment Act of 2013, the age limit has been increased to the 18 years. This is known as the statutory rape. Though she is consenting, though she is saying, I am married to this particular person, but still it amounts to the offense of rape. It is the judgment in rape. Until and unless it has been overruled, we are abide to follow this thing. And when she is unable to communicate the consent, अगर ये 6 clause में कहीं पे कोई चीज नहीं बैठती है, अगर वो consent ही दे नहीं सक रही कोई भी कारण से जो है, then it will be presumed that man had committed the rape. ये 7वां क्लॉज जो है ये अमेंडेड डेफिनेशन में जो है ऐड किया गया है कि ये 6 क्लॉज में अगर कोई चीज नहीं बैठ रही, ये 7वें क्लॉज को देखो. The consent will be in any form. Let it be verbal form, let it be in the non-verbal form. Non-verbal form by the gesture, by the posture, कि she has communicated for this particular act. नहीं वो मेरा वो इसमें भी इको होता है, इसलिए मैं कॉलर माइक, इसमें भी इको होता है इसलिए मैं कॉलर माइक लिया. थोड़ा सा आगे कर, थोड़ा सा. हेलो ठीक. Now there are the punishment. Again, there is an amendment in the punishment 376. Most of the clauses of 376 they has been substituted. 376 Indian Penal Code describe the punishment for the offense of rape. There are 2 subsections, subsection 1 and subsection 2. Whoever commits the rape shall be punished with an imprisonment, rigorous imprisonment for a period not less than 7 years, may even extend to the imprisonment of life, as per subsection 1. And there are second subsection. Now, the main gist of this subsection is that whoever is in the official position, if he uses his official position and do the rape in that condition, the punishment is being extended to 10 years or even the life imprisonment. So, whoever been the police officer, whoever been the public servant, whoever been the person of an armed forces, whoever been the management or the staff of the hospital, or whoever may be the management or the staff of a remand home or the jail, or whoever is in a fiduciary relationship, let it be teacher, let it be guardian. Fiduciary relationship बोले तो relationship of love, the trust and faith. क्योंकि they are trusting in case of an communal or in case of an secretarian. Violence, knowing that the female is been pregnant, if that female is below the 16th year of age, doing the repeatedly rape on the same female, in this particular condition, there is an imprisonment for a period not then than 10 years, may even extend to the life imprisonment. Now there are this section has always been substituted. Section 376A of the Indian Penal Code. Whoever at the time of doing that heinous act causes such an bodily injury resulting in the death of the female or that female in an persistent vegetative condition shall be liable with an imprisonment for a period not less than the 20 years and even the death sentence. That is as per section 376A. Then section 376B, it is a bailable offense. All other offenses are non-bailable. It is basically the marital rape. Sexual intercourse by a husband with the wife during the period of separation. A decree of divorce has been going on without the consent of the female. If the husband forcefully cohabit with the wife, it will amount to the rape as per section 376B of the Indian Penal Code. Here there is a simple imprisonment for a period of 2 years, even may extend to the 7 years. Now this section 376 is very important, because it is the sexual offenses not amount, sexual intercourse not amount to the offense of the rape, not amounting to the offense of the rape. Any person who is misusing his official position, let it be an police officer, let it be a member of an hospital or staff, or anyone among जिसके पास में वो लेडी काम कर रही है, इस कंडीशन में if he seduce or induce that female, he is not forcing that female, he is seducing and inducing that female. The female is giving the consent in this particular section and cohabiting with that male. Probable reason, she may have some benefit from that particular person, or she may be under threat. In this condition, again there is an imprisonment for a period of 5 years, may extend to the 10 years. This is very important section. Whoever the female working with you, you should never seduce or induce, otherwise you are liable for punishment. The reason is that you should never use your official position to seduce or induce a female. That's why this clause has been added. 376C. Then 376D, it is a gang rape. Here the imprisonment up to the 20 years. 376E, the repeated offenders, who is already been convicted for the rape. Once, if you do this act again, the imprisonment is a life imprisonment till the death of his natural life, or even the death penalty. So these are the substitute section. These are the provision in Criminal Procedure Code, section 53A CRPC, medical examination of the accused. Here we have to examine the accused. I will not go in the detail. Victim rape, victim पे concentrate करेंगे. 164A CRPC, medical examination of the victim. Now who is going to do the medical examination of the victim? There are hue and cry कि it should be only done by the expert, it should be done by the gynecologist. But considering most of the cases they are reported at the primary level, any registered medical practitioner can do this examination. All the effort should be there to make the female doctor, registered medical practitioner, available, so that examination has to be done. If not at all possible, then the male doctor can examine in the presence of the female attendant. So this is as per the section 164 CRPC, then section 157 subsection 1B CRPC, investigation in related to the offense of the rape. How the investigating agency they are going to report, means recording of statement of survival of sexual conducted at residence of victim or place of her choice. Okay? By woman police officer in the presence of her parents or guardian or the social worker. 173 subsection 1A, investigation in relation to rape of a child may be completed within 3 months as for the POCSO. 164A I had already discussed. Now this 166B IPC. This is again very important. No doctor can deny the treatment for the survival of the rape victim. I just want to clarify, now we are not using this term the victim. The victim has been replaced by the term survivor. The reason is that when you use the word victim, means already she has been harassed, she has been victimized, she requires the care, she required the support, she required the compassion, she is not in a position to take her own decision. हम उसको further और उसको victimize कर रहे हैं कि victim आया हमारे पास में, हम victim का examine कर रहे हैं. We use the term survivor. Although she has been victimized, she has been humiliated, she has been traumatized, but still she can take her own decision. So we should use this word survivor instead of the victim. If the doctor, any doctor, government or the private doctor fails to give the treatment to the medical examination of that particular female and fails to give the treatment, deny the treatment, he is liable for the punishment as per section 166B of the Indian Penal Code. Here the imprisonment may be up to the 1 year and fine or both. Okay, so no doctor can deny treatment to the survival of sexual assault. This is the provision, section 114A, Indian Evidence Act. Burden of proving the consent is on the ban. This is again very important. In a legal trial, it is the prosecution to prove the crime done by particular accused. But it is reverse in case of this sexual violence. It is that accused or that perpetrator who has to prove that she has consented and he had not done the act. So here, onus to prove that she has consented, he didn't done the act, is on that particular accused. So it is again a very important amendment, and 146 of the Indian Evidence Act. एक बहुत फेमस पिक्चर है पिंक. द लेजेंडरी अमिताभ बच्चन साहब जब अपने क्लाइंट को जब एग्जामिनेशन करते हैं तो वहां उसको पूछते हैं कि एट व्हाट एज यू हैड लॉस्ट योर वर्जिनिटी. द आंसर वाज 18 years. Who was that person? She gives the name of that person. Did he force you? She said no. Did he pay you? She said no. Do you have any other sexual partners? वो बोलती yes. Are they forcing you? Are they paying you? She said no. तो उनका ये स्टेटमेंट है कि इतने बार जब हुआ है तो ये एक बार अगर होता तो इससे क्या फर्क पड़ता. Reason is that कि no means no. If that female in this particular sexual incident say that she had not consented, later she is having the multiple sexual partner, she is a commercial sex worker. But if she said no in this particular sexual incident, it means no, and it is an offense of rape. So this is very important section. Another thing is that you are not going to ask any indecent question. मैडम ने मतलब होता कि पुलिस आप बार-बार अपने को क्वेश्चन पूछते हैं का ती संबंधित स्त्री समोगस पात्र आहे किंवा कशी. This is a very irrelevant question. Already now the guideline has been issued by Ministry of the Health and Family Welfare कि no such question should be asked. No such question pertaining her previous sexual life, whether she is accustomed or habituated, should not be asked. So these are all the indecent questions. Nowadays the honorable judiciary itself don't permit such type of question. So now this is important. Proforma for medical examination of survival of sexual violence. After the heinous Delhi gang rape case, the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare has revised the medico-legal examination proforma, and they laid down the guidelines so that the guidelines has to be uniformly followed. It was in way back in 2014. लेकिन ये गाइडलाइन अभी भी जो है ये फॉलो नहीं हो रही है. द रीजन वाज दैट कि लॉ एंड ऑर्डर वाज द सिचुएशन ऑफ द मैटर ऑफ द स्टेट. सो एवरी स्टेट दे वर हैविंग देयर ओन गाइडलाइंस रिगार्डिंग इट, बट नाउ दे आर द सेंट्रल गाइडलाइंस. वी आर अबाइड बाय द सेंट्रल गाइडलाइंस. वी हैव टू फॉलो दिस गाइडलाइंस. रिवर्स प्रॉपर एक आध बार कोई पब्लिक इंटरेस्ट लिटिगेशन आ जाएगा कि आपने कितने फॉर्मेट में उसमें किए या नहीं है, विल बी अनआंसरेबल. सो ये प्रोफॉर्मा है, ये जनरल प्रोफॉर्मा. एक चीज मैं बताना चाहूंगा कि एज पर द न्यू प्रोफॉर्मा इट इज एन कलर कोडिंग प्रोफॉर्मा. आई डोंट थिंक वी आर यूजिंग द कलर कोडिंग, बट द कंटेंट्स आर मोर और लेस सेम. ठीक है, पिंक कलर, व्हाइट कलर, येलो कलर एंड ब्लू कलर. The yellow color is for the police, the white color is for the hospital, the pink color is for that survival, and the blue color is for the forensic science laboratory. ये 4 कलर प्रोफॉर्मा है. 4 जगह कार्बन लगाने पड़ते हैं, लेकिन अभी ऐसी भी चीज आई है कि आपको कार्बन लगाने की जरूरत नहीं है, आप लिखो उसके नीचे आता है. बट वेदर दे आर गोइंग टू प्रोवाइड और our administration has to do the efforts to print such proforma, but it should be done as early as possible. Okay, now these are the general examination. Main important thing is the time of the examination, the period of the commencement of the examination, and the completion of the examination. So that whatever the time that is lapsed between the incidents of the sexual violence and the time of examination, so what could be the credibility of the evidences which we had collected on? That is again very important. One important thing is the consent. We have to keep in mind always no victim or survival in any form should be examined without his or her consent. If you examine that victim without the consent, if she complains, you are liable for the punishment as per section 354 of the Indian Penal Code, that is the assault. So what as a doctor we should do? We should document the informed refusal. If she is not willing for the examination. So this informed refusal is a safeguard to you in the presence of third disinterested person. because it is the right of that victim as per the Article 21 of the Indian Penal Code, right to life and personal liberty. She can deny the consent. No one can force her. So this is very important. In this particular examination of survival, we take consent for medical examination and treatment, for medico-legal examination, for sample collection, for clinical purpose and forensic purpose, and information to the police, intimation to the police. Again, it is a debatable thing whether you have to inform to the police or not. You are duty bound to inform to the police. ये आपको इन्फॉर्म करना ही पड़ेगा. अगर वो बोलती है कि आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू गिव एनी डिटेल टू द पुलिस, डॉक्यूमेंट इट ऑन योर केस शीट, but you have to inform to the police. If you fail to inform to the police, you are liable for punishment as per section 176 of the Indian Penal Code. There is a simple imprisonment for a period of 1 month, or there is a fine, or there is an both. If you deliberately fail to inform to the police, again you are liable for punishment at per section 202 of Indian Penal Code. Here the imprisonment may be for a period of 6 months and fine or both. So whatever she is saying, yes or no, inform or no, it is your duty bound to inform to the police. All the consent should be explained to the female or that survival in her vernacular language. Most of the time it is not possible. Say for example, a person of an person with disability, PWD हम जिसको बोल रहे हैं, not possible to understand the nature. So in that condition, you should have the educators, the translators, the interpreters who can explain to that survival the nature of the consent, who can also tell her that at any time she can withdraw the consent, who have to convince them that the consent for medico-legal examination is very, very important, because it is going to assist the investigation, to arrest and to prosecute the perpetrator. ये चीज भी आपको उसको एक्सप्लेन करने देने, दोनों प्रोज एंड कॉन्स आपको एक्सप्लेन करके देने हैं उसको, तभी जो है वो उसका कंसेंट हम जो है वैलिड रखेंगे. एंड दैट स्पेशल एजुकेटर, द इंटरप्रेटर, द ट्रांसलेटर शुड ऑल्सो साइन ऑन दैट पर्टिकुलर डॉक्यूमेंट. अब अपने आगे बहुत बड़ा प्रश्न चिन्ह आता है कि मैं कहां से लाऊं. ये हमारे हरदम ही रहता है कि ये चीजें हमने कहां से लाना है. तो ऐसे कंडीशन में पॉलिसी जो भी एक डिसेबल स्कूल होती है वो भी ड्यूटी बाउंड है ऐसे केसेस में उनको मदद करना है. तो अपने एरिया में कुछ डिसेबल स्कूल है, वहां पे वी शुड हैव द नंबर्स ऑफ देयर प्रिंसिपल्स, देयर टीचर, सो दैट इन ऑड आवर्स दे शुड कम एंड दे शुड assist us, because already they are also duty bound to assist all these things. A third disinterested person should be there. 2 identification marks should be of that particular survival, and there is a routine history, the medical, the surgical history. We have to assess the development of the secondary sexual characters in this particular condition. Onset of menarche, menstrual history, menstruation at the time of incident. If she has been menstruating on that particular day, you have to examine her later on. Was the survivor pregnant at the time of incident? If yes or no, duration of pregnancy, contraceptive, vaccination status. Again, this is very important, because post-exposure prophylaxis. For the post-exposure prophylaxis, you have to consider all these things. History of the sexual violence. Date of the incident, don't exaggerate it, don't use any prejudice remarks, don't be a judgmental. Whatever she has been saying, only encourage her. So examination, already Madam had said, Kushor sir had said, there should be an one-stop examination center, one-stop crisis center. Now it has been followed in KEM, in Nair, in Sion. There is one-stop examination center which has been governed by the Department of the Gynec and Obstetric. Here the people from that particular department, from the forensic medicine department, all the relevant department, including the psychiatrists, the psychologists, the surgery, all the people, they had been in that particular. So the patient should not run from here and there. Already she has been victimized. A comfort zone for the examination is very, very necessary. Again, the reason is that she may not hide some history because of the fear, because of the phobia to the investigating agency. But if that victim becomes comfortable during the examination, she may reveal other points which may be very important from the legal point of view. So this thing is very, 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 very important. इसका अर्थ नहीं कि हम पूरे झुंड का झुंड दौड़ते हुए गए कि रेप की विक्टिम आ गई कि आज फोरेंसिक वाला एग्जामिन कर रहा, गायनिक वाला एग्जामिन कर रहा, ये अपना साइकेट्रिस्ट एग्जामिन कर रहा. एक प्रॉपर एग्जामिनेशन शुड बी डन मेंटेनिंग द डिग्निटी एंड द ऑनर ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर victim of survival. So type of the physical violence. Now in most of the condition, there are the trivial injuries. Whatever the history she has been given, she is saying, I had already said, against her will and without her consent, in majority of the cases that victim, that survival will resist, and in the form of the resistance she may sustain the injuries on her body, and also she may inflict the injury on that particular perpetrators. If she is giving the history while shouting he has forcefully closed the face, then you have to examine whether there is evidence of any contusion under the lips, whether there are evidence of any abrasion over here, or if that person forcefully restrained that female, whether there is evidence of any contusion or the nail scratch abrasion, forcefully pushes her down, whether there is evidence of any abrasion or contusion on the back. That is very, very important in this particular condition. Whether there is evidence of any bite mark on that female, again that is an important corroborative evidence. You have to compare that thing. The dental charting examination has to be done in this particular case. So trivial injury is very important. The emotional status of that particular female, any verbal threats, any luring, any drug and alcohol intoxication. There is one clause, consent given by the female in an intoxicated condition. So whether she is being intoxicated or not, so you have to examine, you have to preserve the blood, you have to send it this blood for the chemical examination. Now these are the other things, penetration, I had already told you, not only the penetration by the penis bore, any other things will amount to the offense of the rape as per the amended definition. So here only you have to see yes or no, नीचे में आपको देना ये सारी चीजें. Whether she has changed her clothes, changed her undergarment, washed or not, because whatever the evidence present may be lost if all this thing has been done. ठीक है? Times in incidents, vaginal oral bleeding, discharge, anything else. These are the various injuries. कहाँ injuries? I had already discussed this thing. मार दिया ear drum में कहीं पे कुछ injury है क्या? Press कर दिया upper rib में है क्या? Inner aspect. Usually the inner aspects of the thighs there may be an linear abrasion. Linear abrasion may be present over the nail scratch abrasion may be present over the vulva. So this trivial injury in case of the sexual assault, there may not necessarily be the injuries of a grievous nature. Most of the injuries, they are very trivial in nature and they are very important from the legal point of view. So this is a body diagram. One thing I just want to mention, already it has been given that you should not comment regarding her previous sexual experience, whether she was accustomed or not. There is one column of the hymen. So what we should write? If there is only recent injury, you only mention that thing. It has been torn at this o'clock position, there is bleeding present, there is a swelling present. But you should not mention the previous condition of the hymen, whether it is a Karen-Cory hymen or is present or Karen-Cory multiformis is present, you should not. And there is also one thing, कि both hue and cry होता है. महाराष्ट्र से ये चीज चालू हुई कि 2 finger test should be abolished. ये चीज होने के पहले से ये चीज चालू थी कि ये per vaginal examination should not be done. What is the need for per vaginal examination in case of a sexual assault? If it is indicated, then you have to do. The reason was that कि already the female has been traumatized. ये मैं नहीं बोल रहा, ये सेहत नाम की एक जो एजेंसी है, Center for Inquiry into the Health and the Allied Themes, who are giving the inputs to the government, वो ये सारी चीजें जो है वो चीज कर रहे. But when and where it is been indicated for the medical examination, you can do it. अगर medical examination के लिए है, but as such you don't assess. The probable reason was that you are assess her vaginal introitus. You are assessing the elasticity of her hymen, and you are commenting whether she has been accustomed or habituated for the sexual intercourse. These don't have any role considering the recent incidents of the sexual intercourse. So these things should be avoided. ये बॉडी डायग्राम है, प्रॉपर रिप्रेजेंटेशन इंजुरी कहाँ है विद नंबर के साथ में ये आपको देना है. ये आपको बाइट्स मार्क दिख रहे हैं, ये कुछ फोटोग्राफ्स है. एग्जामिनेशन ऑफ द जेनिटल अगेन इट इज वेरी 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 इंपॉर्टेंट. एब्रेजन है, कंट्यूशन है, ब्लीडिंग है, पेरिनियल ट्रियर है अगर बच्ची है. उसके बाद में जो पेनिस, स्क्रोटम, टेस्टिस, ये चीज इसलिए दिए है कि मोस्ट ऑफ दिस विक्टिम दे आर ऑल्सो द ट्रांसजेंडर. I failed to tell you one thing, कि while doing the examination of a transgender, let it be whether it is a male pseudohermaphrodite or the female pseudohermaphrodite, you have always give the chance to, you have to ask him by whom you want to get examined, whether by a male doctor or by a female doctor. If available, then you have to do the examination. If not available, then a female attendant should be present. तो ये चीज जब है when you are examining the transgender, ये आपको देना चाहिए. The reason is that most of the transgender may be involved in the prostitutions. ठीक है, तो ये scrotum, testis, clitoris, labio, scrotum, any other or per vaginal examination we had discussed. General examination, ये आपको इंजुरी देना है. These are some photographs. More important thing is the collection of the evidences. Here we have to follow the Locker's principle of mutual exchange. When the two objects comes in contact with each other, there is always transfers of the material from one object to the another object, on from this object to that object. So you have to properly collect the object present on the body of the survival. You have to properly preserve and send it for the chemical examination so as to be compared with the material found on the body of that alleged perpetrator. So this is very 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 important. अभी जो सेफ किट जो सेहत वाले ने जो दिए, that is very costly. I think it is about 1500 सेहत किट, 1500 to 2000 kit. It is not possible for us. But in spite of that kit, we are doing the routine examination. ये examination को लगी क्या आ रहा है, मटेरियल क्या लग रहा है, आपको स्वाब्स लग रहे हैं, आपको टेस्ट ट्यूब लग रहे हैं, आपको ग्लास स्लाइड लग रही है, आपको पेपर एनवलप लग रहा है, आपको नेल कटर लग रहा है, आपको एक सीजर लग रही है, आपको एक कोम लग रहा है. सो एक रिक्वायरमेंट जो है 6 month रिक्वायरमेंट यू शुड सेंड टू द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एंड व्हाट एवर पॉसिबल जो है कि आपने जो है 50 कंगी लेके रख दिए, क्योंकि हमारी शुरुआत वहां से होती, कंगी नहीं है तो अब मैं क्या करूं, हमारे पास में एनवेलप नहीं तो अब मैं क्या करूं. अब ये क्या करूं वाला कंसेप्ट भूल जाओ अभी, क्योंकि ऑलरेडी इट इज बिन गाइडलाइन विच हैज बिन इशूड. कैसा करना है इसको हमको फॉलो करना है, अदरवाइज वी आर लायबल फॉर पनिशमेंट एज इट इज हाईली सेंसिटिव इशू. तो ये चीजें हमको करनी है. क्या क्या हमको स्वाब्स लेने हैं, स्वाब्स फ्रॉम द स्टेट, ब्लड, सीमन, फॉरेन हेयर, स्काल्प हेयर्स काय में रखेंगे. दो ही चीज प्रिजर्वेशन के लिए हम यूज करते हैं, एक तो एनवेलप यूज करते हैं, व्हाइट कलर एनवेलप और एनी कलर एनवेलप, या फिर हम टेस्ट ट्यूब यूज करते हैं, या हम स्टेराइल बल्ब यूज करते हैं. क्लिनिकल एग्जामिनेशन जहां हमको करना है, वीडीआरएल के लिए कम करना है, एचबीएस एजी के लिए करना है, वहां हम स्टेराइल ब्लड बॉटल यूज करते हैं, ब्लड कल्चर हम यूज करते हैं. बाकी मेडिकल एग्जामिनेशन यूज करना है, वहां हम टेस्ट ट्यूब यूज करते हैं और एनवेलप यूज करते हैं. Say for example, matted pubic hair. During examination, you are saying you are fine. Come to the conclusion, the matted pubic hairs are there. So what we will do? You have to cut as near as possible to the skin and preserve it in a envelope. You have to comb that pubic area. You have to comb the scalp area, and as such, you have to send the comb in that envelope. You have to send that stain area. अगर कुछ सामान्य स्टेन है या ब्लड स्टेन है कुछ है तो आपको स्वाब स्टिक से लेना है. स्वाब स्टिक को आपको डिस्टिल वाटर से उसको मॉइस्चर करना है और उसको जो है वो टेस्ट ट्यूब में डालना है. उसको छोटी छोटी चीजें हैं. नेल क्लिपिंग्स अगेन इट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. द वेरी लेस केसेस आर देयर कि वेयर द डीएनए हैज बीन डिटेक्टेड फ्रॉम दैट स्किन डेब्रिस. ये केसेस बहुत कम है, बट फॉरेन मटेरियल्स, द हेयर्स, द फैब्रिक्स दैट हैज बीन डिटेक्टेड. अब ये नेल क्लिपिंग्स कैसे करेंगे? टूथपिक आती है, टूथपिक से आप जस्ट निकाल लो, एक इसमें राइट का एक इसमें रखो, लेफ्ट का एक इसमें रखो, उसके बाद में जो है नेल कटर से नेल क्लिपिंग करो, इसको दूसरे एनवेलप में. कोई इसमें कोई रॉकेट साइंस नहीं है कि बहुत ज्यादा हमको करना है। तो ये सारी चीजें हम करेंगे। एग्जामिनेशन ऑफ ब्लड, अगेन इट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। ब्लड फॉर ब्लड ग्रुपिंग एंड RH टाइपिंग, whatever the blood which may be present on the body of the accused has to be compared. Nowadays with the advancement of the DNA, ये चीजें और भी simplified हो गई, लेकिन proper collection of that sample is very important. Blood for blood grouping and RH typing you have to collect in a plain bulb. If you have to collect the blood for any intoxicant, अल्कोहल के लिए आपको कलेक्ट करना है तो सोडियम फ्लोराइड बल्ब, तो ये आपके पास में आपके डिपार्टमेंट पे चाहिए आने चाहिए। अगर आपको डीएनए के लिए ब्लड कलेक्ट करना है तो ईडीटीए जो वायल है, लेकिन ये वायल्स जो है यू हैव टू प्रोक्योर फ्रॉम द फोरेंसिक साइंस लेबोरेटरी। ये हमारे पास में नहीं, ये फ्रेशली प्रिपेयर्ड होते हैं, तो हमको पुलिस को बोलना पड़ता है कि आप वहां से लेके आओ, हम वहां पे ये देंगे डीएनए के लिए, क्योंकि साथ में आपको उस सर्वाइवल का एक फोटो भी देना पड़ता है फॉर्म के साथ में, 3 विटनेस का साइन भी होता है। तो ये सारी चीजें आपको जो है मेटिकुलसली आपको ये चीजें फॉलो करनी है। Regarding the opinion, again it is a very debatable thing, but now the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare उन्होंने सारी चीजें दिए हैं कि प्रोविजनल ओपिनियन आपने कैसा देना है, फाइनल ओपिनियन आपने कैसा देना है। तो आपको उसी चार्ट को आपको फॉलो करना है कि प्रोविजनल ओपिनियन आपको कैसा देना है। ये कलर कोडिंग फॉर्म्स है, ये क्या क्या एविडेंसेस हमने कलेक्ट करने हैं, ये उसका चार्ट है। ये कंप्रिहेंसिव हेल्थ केयर एग्जामिनेशन क्या करने का है, नॉट ओनली द ट्रीटमेंट, द साइकोलॉजिकल सपोर्ट ऑफ द पेशेंट टू रिहैब दैट पेशेंट अप टू द मनोधैर्य योजना, ए कंपेंसेशन बाय द वुमेन एंड चाइल्ड वेलफेयर डिपार्टमेंट। यहां तक हमको सारी चीजें केस को हमको परस्यू करते रहना पड़ता है। ये आपको प्रोविजनल ओपिनियन कब देते हैं कि जेनाइटल इंजुरीज है, फिजिकल इंजुरीज है, सैंपल आपने प्रिजर्व किए कि देयर आर साइंस suggestive of recent use of force or forceful penetration of vagina and anus, ठीक है, and the sample preserve for the ये present है, absent है, इस टाइप के आपको जो है ये opinions देने हैं। The reason is that if there are no findings, all the findings are normal, you can't refute or you can't confirm the sexual intercourse. This is very important thing जो है, because medical evidence of sexual intercourse may not be the legal evidence of the rape. तो ये सारी चीजें जो है हमने इसी एंगल से हमने करनी है। ये पेनिटेटिव के लिए फाइनल ओपिनियन है, सारे हमारे पास में जो है, सारे हमारे पास में रिपोर्ट आते हैं। देयर आर साइंस सजेस्टिव ऑफ फोर्सफुल वजाइनल इंटरकोर्स, अगर जेनाइटल इंजुरी प्रेजेंट है, फिजिकल इंजुरी एब्सेंट है, देयर आर साइंस सजेस्टिव ऑफ फोर्सफुल वजाइनल एनल इंटरकोर्स, जेनाइटल इंजुरी एब्सेंट है, फिजिकल इंजुरी प्रेजेंट है, पॉजिटिव फॉर द प्रेजेंस ऑफ सीमेन। नाउ दिस आर वेरी लेस लाइकली, ऐसे आप लोगों ने भी सब इतने सालों से हम काम कर रहे हैं कि वेरी लेस लाइकली जो है हमारे पास में पेशेंट उठने पहले रिपोर्ट होता है कि सीमेन जो है स्पर्मेटोजोआ पॉजिटिव आए, या एनी ऑफ द सेमिनल कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन, कोलिन, स्पर्मिन, एसिड फॉस्फेटेट्स, ये चीजें पॉजिटिव आए। उसमें भी एक गाइडलाइंस है कि 3 दिन तक अगर वो पेशेंट आता है विदिन 72 आवर्स, देन देयर आर चांसेस ऑफ गेटिंग द इंटैक्ट स्पर्मेटोजोआ। आफ्टर 96 आवर देयर इज वेरी लेस लाइकली चांसेस ऑफ गेटिंग इट। 10 दिन के बाद में पेशेंट आता है, इट इज नॉट मैंडेटरी टू कलेक्ट द एविडेंसेस, ये मैंडेटरी नहीं है, क्योंकि 96 आवर तक से गाइडलाइन दी है कि जहां पे आप ये सारी चीजें करो, बट स्टिल इफ द पुलिस इंसिस्ट, हमको वो चीज फॉलो करनी पड़ती है। ठीक है, तो ये एब्सेंट है, देयर आर साइंस सजेस्टिव ऑफ वजाइनल इंटरकोर्स, देयर आर साइंस सजेस्टिव ऑफ वजाइनल एनल इंटरकोर्स अंडर द इन्फ्लुएंस ऑफ द ड्रग। ये फॉर द नॉन पेनिट्रेटिव फॉर्म ऑफ द सेक्सुअल इंटरकोर्स, already manipulates the body, insertion of the anything, it has already been included in the definition of the rape. From the circumstantial evidence, the honorable court will opine whether it is a rape or not. ठीक है, but still considering the history, हमारे आगे प्रॉब्लम यही आता है कि इस टाइप का है तो हमने कैसा ओपिनियन देना चाहिए। Whatever the history which we had taken in the detail, we have to correlate with the history and then we have to give this opinion. So again, this is very, 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 very important from medical point of view. So this is a safe kit, जो 1500 से 2000 तक की आती है, लेकिन ये किट हमने खुद ही हमारे पास में रखनी चाहिए। इतने सालों से हम कर ही रहे, इसमें अलग से कुछ भी नहीं है कि हम वो 2000 की किट मंगाएंगे, एक बार हम किट मंगाएंगे, एक साल किट आएंगे, अगले साल किट नहीं आएंगी। फिर से हमको अपना जो है ट्रेडिशनल वैसे ही हमको सारी चीजें करनी है, अलग इसमें कुछ भी नहीं है। इसमें सेहत के ट्रेनिंग अगर जिसने जिसने किया होगा तो उसमें उनको ये सारी चीजें बताती कि यू हैव टू परचेज दैट थिंग। आप अपने एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को बोलो कि ये सारी चीजें खरीदे और आपके पास में रखे। इट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट। मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज द प्रॉपर कलेक्शन ऑफ द सैंपल, प्रॉपर यूज ऑफ द प्रिजर्वेटिव एंड सेंडिंग इट टाइमली। जब डीएनए को आपको भेजना है तो उसको आइस बैग में भेजना है उसको, अदरवाइज देर इज वेरी लेस चांसेस कि आपको उससे डीएनए मिलेगा। ये विक्टिम फिजिकल एविडेंस रिकवरी किट का है, क्योंकि ऑल दिस सैंपल हैज टू बी सेपरेटली लेबल्ड, सील्ड एंड देन हैंडेड ओवर टू द पुलिस कांस्टेबल ऑफ ड्यूटी, दैट इज नोन ऑफ द चेन ऑफ कस्टडी। ठीक है, थैंक यू।